Breaking news. We've just found out in the last hour the outcome of today's hearing in relation to Prince Harry and whether the visa application should be released or not to the Heritage Foundation. So make sure you subscribe to this channel and stay tuned for more details in this Daily Nerd starting right now. Hey up everyone, it's me, Stef The Alter Nerd, your nerdy alternative, and welcome to another dose of the Daily Nerd, where I break down the news and pop culture stories of the day that's pretty much got me eye, and oh my goodness, before I jump into all the juicy details with this video's main topic, there is a little bit of housekeeping as always. Firstly, YouTube human reviewer, I see you lurking. I'm not going to say any trigger words or anything that's going to offend your ear holes. And to everyone else awesome enough to have clicked on this video, hey up, how y'all doing? If you've got some very strong feelings about Prince Harry's visa application, and I bet you do, then make sure you send me a super thanks. It's just below this video right here. We can have a conversation about this because it does guarantee a response from me. And oh yeah, let's jump into this one, shall we? So, we start off just prior to the hearing starting with the Heritage Foundation saying there's a real serious question as to whether or not he should have been admitted into the United States. If the Duke's application were to be published and reveal that his answers contradicted his later public revelations in otherwise known as Spare, then the case would call into question the Biden administration's handling of the visa application process the organization contends. So in a statement, the Heritage Foundation said it hopes to determine whether celebrity elites such as Prince Harry were likely to receive preferential treatment and whether the Department of Homeland Security was operating fairly without fear or favour. So their counsel, Sam Dewey, spoke to Sky News saying the government has taken the position that there's, quote, nothing to see here. But we've taken the position that no, if you look through all the details of his admissions in Spare, you look at the drug laws, you look at the laws on admissions, there's a real serious question as to whether or not he should have been admitted. The alternative, if he didn't disclose the use, then there's a very serious question as to whether or not proceedings should have begun against him for that. And they do have a point because I always bring up these examples, but it's true. Kate Moss, Amy Winehouse, they, and you know, when Amy Winehouse was with us, they had issues in the past with illicit substances. They got caught, and guess what? It was so freaking difficult for them to get into America. At one point, they wouldn't let them in. America would not let Kate Moss or Amy Winehouse into the country. Oh yeah, because of their past usage. So how and why did they let Prince Harry in? Well, that would be the question if you are to believe Prince Harry when he says, well, I put everything on the application. So that's by the by. However, from the hearing today, breaking news in the last hour, Biden administration blocks the expedited release of Prince Harry's visa records in this lawsuit. So the Department of Homeland Security has rejected a request by the Heritage Foundation to expedite and Freedom Information Act request for the release of the immigration records for Prince Harry. So the Department of Homeland Security Senior Director Jimmy Wolfrey wrote in a letter that, quote, to the extent records exist, this office does not find a public interest in disclosure sufficient to override the subject's privacy interests, which I'm calling complete BS on that. It is totally within the public interest to find out what Prince Harry put on his application or not, because it's either going to go one or two ways, and the government knows this, right? Because either way, they're screwed. It's either Prince Harry is correct, he put everything on the application, right? So then the question for the US government is, well, he has this extensive history with illicit substances, why the heck did you let him in? Or it's the other way. Prince Harry either didn't put everything on or didn't put anything on that application at all regarding his past usage. And then if that's the case, there's still a question back to the government, which is, well, what are you going to do now? Are you kicking him out or what? I think they know this. I think they are totally in a bind. But, you know, the Department of Homeland Security says it does not find a public interest in disclosure sufficient to override the subject's privacy interests. Like, they are really hiding behind this whole, it's not in the public's interest. I think it's in the public's interest to ensure that the government is maintaining and upholding the rules of the law when it comes to immigration. Just saying. I know it would certainly be in the public interest if the situation was over here in the UK. That's for damn sure. Now, the Heritage Foundation attorney tried to argue this point, okay, and said that Prince Harry has waived any privacy interest he has in his illicit substance use. So 3 agencies within the Department of Homeland Security, so including US CIS and US Customs and Border Protection, have rejected the Freedom of Information Act request. But DHS HQ has so far not responded, with Mr. Bardo saying during the hearing that no search for the files has been conducted at the HQ. Department of Homeland Security said in illegal filings that the US Customs and Border Protection denied the request because Prince Harry hasn't consented to the release of the files, with Mr. Bardo, though, saying in court that an individual's visa is, quote, confidential. But again, it's only confidential insofar as, well, if it's in the public interest, release it. Hello, it's in the public interest. Release the thing. What are they doing? Speaking to reporters outside the DC federal courthouse, Mr. Dewey said that Prince Harry had foregone his right to privacy after his series of highly publicised interviews and Netflix documentary series. He argued in court that the case is part of a larger probe into the conduct of the federal government, specifically into the Department of Homeland Security's supposedly not following the law in other areas of its responsibilities, such as not protecting the US border with Mexico. Mr. Dewey told reporters, "What are we asking for here? We're only asking for the records that are related to this question that has been raised about the illicit substance use and admission." He's talked about it. He's written about it extensively. He has waived any privacy interest he has in his illicit substance use. He's bragged about it in Spare, otherwise known as Where, and sold that. And it's correct. He is correct. The lawyer for Heritage Foundation is correct. Department of Homeland Security is turning around and saying it's not in the public interest and Prince Harry has a right to privacy. Yeah, Prince Harry does have a right to privacy, but if he's going to put it in the public sphere about his illicit substance taken in the past, what he's taken being extremely extensive in the public sphere in regards to what happened, when he took it, the stories behind it and all that lot, well, dude's waived his right at that point because he's already put it in public sphere. That's it. It's done. It's done. The Heritage Foundation is completely correct on this one. Because, here you go. Prince Harry admits to taking, we're going to call this the caine, and we're going to call this the rooms, saying that it let him, quote, see the truth. He also took, we'll call this the green, in his garden at Kensington Palace and while at Eton. Like, he really went into a lot of detail in Where, otherwise known as Spare, in relation to his illicit substance use. But this is the thing, and I completely agree with the Heritage Foundation. There is now an appalling lack of transparency by the Biden administration. So, the Department of Homeland Security Senior Director Jimmy Wolfrey wrote in a letter that, quote, "To the extent records exist, this office does not find a public interest in disclosure sufficient to override the subject's privacy interests." But again, we've just gone through it. What privacy interest? When he's literally plastering it all over his book, all over the media of what he's taken. Like, privacy's gone out of the window at this point, and that's all Prince Harry's doing. And this is the thing, the Heritage Foundation is making this particular argument, arguing that Prince Harry's past admissions of such usage, such as Spare, make him ineligible for a US visa. So the Department of Homeland Security notified the Heritage Foundation yesterday, 1 week after being ordered to respond to the request by DC Federal Court Judge Carl Nichols. Heritage lawyer Samuel Dewey told the paper that the reply from the Department of Homeland Security shows an appalling lack of transparency by the Biden administration. I mean, think about it. He writes that he took so much and he did it for fun and therapeutically over the years. And these are the particular questions, guys, that the Heritage Foundation is extremely interested in finding out how Prince Harry answered. Now, the first one, have you ever been an illicit substance user or very, very fond of it? Let's put it that way, okay? Now, okay, let's keep this 100. You could say no to that. It's a very subjective question. It's open to a lot of interpretation. It's not really that direct enough, okay? But it's this one for me. Have you ever violated or engaged in a conspiracy to violate any law relating to controlled substances? And let me tell you this, all this in the UK, controlled substances. So here, he would have had to say yes, and he would have had to basically rewrite portions of his book where in this whole explain box here that you can see, right? Now, this is the thing. Again, this whole privacy argument the Department of Homeland Security is arguing here flies right at the window even further when Prince Harry decided to have, quite literally in my opinion, because I attended it, an online freaking therapy session with a doctor called Dr. Gabor Maté. Now, I covered that extensively earlier on this year, so if you haven't watched those videos, do go back in my library for that. The thing is, though, he said that essentially, some of these illicit substances that he took really helped him mentally. But the most insane thing about it is he was turning around, in my opinion, conspiracy theory, whatever, and advocating, well, you know what, if you're suffering from mental health issues, this, that, and the other, take these illicit substances because I did that, and guess what? It worked for me. That is so freaking dangerous. In my opinion, conspiracy theory, whatever, that's what he was touting. And guess what? Oh my goodness. The psychiatrist thought it was horrific what he was saying. And they absolutely slammed him as irresponsible for proclaiming the benefits of like the green and the wooiness, right? He's saying that the green actually did really help me. Especially in terms of the wooiness, Prince Harry said I started doing it recreationally and then started to realise how good it was for me. I would say it was one of the fundamental parts of my life that changed me and helped me deal with the traumas and pains of the past. Like he's literally turning around and saying, you know, taking all these illicit substances helped him with his mental health. And it's as if he is like proclaiming, advertising, you know, I did this, you could do this too. Like he's, you know, in my opinion, conspiracy theory, whatever, this is dangerous, what he was doing. Now, Dr. Max Pemberton, an NHS psychiatrist, accused Prince Harry of wading into the debate on mental health with reckless ignorance. The doctor slammed Prince Harry for having no understanding of the serious damage that these substances can cause. He told the Daily Mail that the prince is an example of what medical researchers term N=1, meaning his observations of the effect of the substance are based solely on his own experience. The green's being found to actually increase the risk of schizophrenia or psychosis, with regular use associated with changes in behaviour and withdrawal. And that the doctor added that Prince Harry has forfeited any right he may have had to be seen as a credible representative for mental health charities, as he explained the possible negative impacts of the, let's call it the woo plan. Now, this is often promoted by the trendy middle classes, but it can cause panic attacks and paranoia, as well as physical side effects like vomiting and diarrhea. This ain't good, guys. This is not good. So, when you've got this situation where the Biden administration is blocking the Heritage Foundation's request, under the Freedom of Information Act, to get a copy of Prince Harry's visa application to find out how he answered these two particular questions here, right? Well, hang on a minute. Yeah. Of course they should have it. The Biden administration cannot hide behind this notion of, well, Prince Harry has this element of privacy that he should expect. Therefore, we're going to keep this confidential. When he's literally plastering it all over his book, interviews, everywhere. We know now. The cat's out of the bag. The genie's out of the bottle. That's it. Any shred of privacy that Prince Harry had in relation to at least these two questions on his visa application went right out of the window as soon as he published Spare, otherwise known as Wah. So, what is next? Well, as far as I know, and please forgive me, from what I've read, the judge now is to rule potentially what's going to happen next. The likelihood is, based on what the judge said last week, if the Biden administration was to block the Heritage's Foundation request, which they have done now officially, then the chances are the judge will allow the Heritage Foundation to take it through the court system all the way to the top to fight this. So guys, guess what? This ain't over yet. Best believe. So, enough with my gob. It's now time for your gobs. If you appreciated this video and you want more, believe me, based on where this is going, there's going to be more. Do make sure you firstly don't keep on the lights and don't turn them off. But secondly, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Keep up to date with everything going on with this case with me. And help us get to 100k so we can get that silver play button right there. Like, share, comment down below your opinion, conspiracy theories, whatever's on this one. Also, as well, you can always send me a super thanks. It's just below this video right here. We can have a conversation about this because it does guarantee a response from me. And until the next time, you guys, laters.